Hello guys, welcome back to the third video in this Django and Celery series. And in this video, we're going to see how to implement periodic tasks in our Django and Celery tutorial. And then we're going to see how we can scrape some data from an external website using Celery to run that periodically, maybe every minute or probably every hour, or depends on your use case. So in this very example, we are going to see how we can scrape a news data from Hacker News, which is a very popular site we can use to perform web scraping. So we'll be picking up from where we stop. So you can either create a new app to build this, or you can just put it in here. So I'll just put it in here for simplicity's sake. So in our main app, just head over to our model. We just create a very simple model to actually house our news data that we're going to scrape from an external site. Alright, so let me quickly do that. So in our model, just below our post, we just add the news model here. So you can call it any name you want. You can call it news. Alright, so this is just going to be our model feed. And this basically, we're just going to pick some few feeds, and this will just get the title and the link, the publish date, and created that and updated that. So the example, the site that we're going to be scraping is our popular Hacker News site. Alright, and if you see something, you can see the time posted is being uploaded, but this site does not update every minute. But sometimes, yeah, you can get recent new uploads that are in a couple of minutes. Alright, so this is what we're going to be using for our web scraping. So, and we're going to be scraping for it to be simple, for us to not be struggling or wasting time and looking for HTML tags and all that. We're going to be scraping the RSS feed. Alright, so the RSS feed will actually give us the SMA. This is very easy for us to scrape. Alright, so this is what we're going to be scraping. And if you look at it very well, you can see where we have title, descriptions, and everything inside item. First of all, you see we have item here. Then inside this item, if you check very well, you see we have title. Then we have links. We have title here. We have links. Alright, and you can see they have the publish date. So we'll just be scraping this, basically these three. There's also comments and all that, but we don't need to go into all that. So our main focus here is how to see periodic tasks in action. Alright, so let's head back and finish up with our model. Here we're going to create a very simple meta class to order our feeds, so we can just use the ordering. Alright, and we want to order it by the publish date. So it's going to be the recent publish is going to be at the top of our data, our list, our model. Alright, so that's what this is all about. So let's just quickly create our string representation. All about our model. So we need to quickly start up our container and make our migration. Just basically do docker compose up, and then if you've not made any changes or any kind of updates in your Docker images, you can just use the Docker compose up, which starts the already existing image. But because I've worked on some other project and I think clean up my Docker image or something like that, so I'm just going to add the build flag to it so that you can rebuild any of the image if they are not there. So we just put this dash build. And we want this to happen in the dash mode. We'll say -d. Just put in dash mode. Let's just remove any kind of dummy files that may cause issues. So we just use the removal file. Alright, so let's use this command to actually build up our container. So let me start this. This will take a couple of seconds. So I'll just start our container so we can make our migration. So while this is building, I will just quickly pause the video, not to waste our time. So our containers are up. You can see we have 6 running containers, And if we check our logs, you find out that everything is working fine. So let me just do compose. I clear up my terminal, so logs. You can see everything is working fine. Alright, so I think if we try flower, you can see our flower is up. Alright, so that's fine. So let's quickly make a migration. So head back to the terminal here. And if you want to make a migration, like I said earlier, you just run the docker compose service. The service we want to execute this command on is our web service, and the command we want to execute is going to be Python migration. So on that, we have it. Okay, let's migrate and see. We having a migration was applied. That's not supposed to be like that. So let me see what is going wrong. So, oh yeah, there's no error. Remember, in our start script, we actually indicate that it should make migration for us. So when we build up our container, it actually made the migration for us. And if you check your app migration file, you can see the migration from news is already there. So once we've done that, alright, so it's to update our dependency. So let's bring in requests, and we'll bring in request and we'll bring in beautiful soup. We'll in request, bring in beautiful soup, and we also bring in the LSML. This is what we use to parse our SML. We need to also update a Docker file, add one more dependency for the LSML package. So which is just going to be apt-get install -y Python SML. So once we have our dependencies line out, so let's quickly add our tasks to actually scrape our data. So in our tasks.py, I'll just quickly add the task here. So I'm going to name this task. It's just going to be another function which is going to be called scrape. This is just going to be a simple function that's going to do that for us. We don't want to receive any argument. And yeah, so we're going to create, first of all, an empty article list. We're going to call it article list. It's going to be an empty list by default, because once we get the list of our data, we'll add append it to this list. So we need to import requests, and let me bring it to the top. So we're going to import requests, and also we need to import beautiful soup. So we need to import our model, which in this case is a news model. Alright, so import that also, and SML, we'll just also import datetime. Alright, so basically I believe these are what we'll be using. Alright, so in here we're just going to make a request to get the data. So we're going to put in a trans except block in case we have any error. So we also do a try block, and in this try block we're gonna make a request to say, we can call it res equals to request dot get. Yeah, we just paste in the URL, which is just gonna be the URL that I showed you earlier. So this URL here. Alright, so you can just grab this URL. So once we have that, we're just gonna say soup. Alright, it's gonna be our beautiful soup. Alright, so yeah, we're just gonna pass in the res.content, and you just add features, and this feature is gonna put in the SML. Alright, can't find all items. Alright, so this item here, if you check, we have this item here, the first item. I think this is the second item. So we want to find all item. Alright, because equals to soup dot find all. All right, and it all wants to find the item. So we find the item. So once we have the list of items in this article, we want to look through the items and construct our object that we want to upload in our database. So we're going to bring it out now. Alright, so we're going to say for A in articles, we have the title, which is a.find title. We want to get the text. We also link a.find link. We want to get the text. Publish date. We want to say a.find publish date. Alright, we get the text. Then we want to format it with our own date time so I can upload the right format. We have this construct and this our data. We need to construct our own article object. Alright, the one we want to upload to our database. And publish date. So this is what we're going to be sending to our database. Alright, so we need to append this in this list. Remember, we created an empty list. Alright, so we need to append it in the empty list. So we're going to call the article list. We'll append. Alright, so what we're going to do to make it very simple, we're going to create another simple task that is just going to receive this list and publish it to the database for us to avoid writing a very lengthy task function. Alright, so I'll just put out above, and then let me just put that one above, and we just call that. We just say save, let's call article to DB. Alright, so that's what this is basically going to do. This is going to receive a articles list. That's what it's going to receive as an argument. Alright, so this is basically just going to look through the list and send it to our database. That's what it's going to do. Then we can just set a simple counter, which initially is going to be 0, and here we're going to look through our article. We're saying article dot in article list. Sorry. Alright, so once we have this, let's just put a simple try and catch also, in case there's any issue with uploading our database. We need to also catch it. Alright, so first of all, once we try and upload this to our database, we're going to call the news model dot objects dot create, and we're going to pass in the feeds that we want to publish to our database. I'm going to bring in this feed. So we're going to say title is going to be an article title, link is going to be article link, publish date. Alright, so once we have that in the database, we want to also increase the counter. Alright, so to show that there's something that comes in. So basically that's what this save function is going to do. So if there's any kind of exception, let's say exception, so we can just print so that will just be our simple save task. So we can call that save task in here. So once we have we want to return we call it send article to DB. Alright, so we're going to make it a task. So we're going to call the delay method on it. I want to pass in the article list. The article list. Alright, remember we are jumping out of the loop. Once we append everything inside the list, we jump out of the loop and we send them to our database. Alright, so that's for this. Also, we need to also catch any exception error if there's any. Same way. Alright, so we just basically grab this. Alright, so that's our tool function. So we need to make this celery task by appending by adding decorators of share task. Remember we have that. We're just gonna also paste the share task, but this time we are going to specify the data type that we want to read. In this salary task, we need to give it a name so that we can identify it when we want to call it periodically. So we're just going to use the name, and this we just call it similarly the same name here. So we just grab these two. Alright, so that's that. Then lastly, before we run any task, let's quickly add some basic settings too, like the time zone settings, because this is going to be a time operation, because it's a periodic task, so it's going to be a time operation. So in our settings file, we are just going to add to the salary settings. Here we have salary settings. Alright, so we already have times and time zone. Fine, that's good. So we can just put the salary task serializer. It's going to be JSON. Salary result serializer is going to be JSON also. So finally, we just need to go to salary.py module. So here we're going to bring in the periodic task. So here we're going to import something from salary. I'm going to import something from salary dot schedule or so. We're going to import the Chrome tab. Alright. Here we just need to kind of register our task by calling the app.conf.bit schedule. So here we define the name for our salary and periodic task. So we can just call it let's say every 10 minutes. That is if we want this to run every 10 minutes or every hour, depends. Alright, so this will be our object. So here we need to define the task that we want to run. At this time, we should go to call task, and that should be the name of our task. We call it script. We call it script how can use RSS feed. So that should be the name. So we just define the name here. Then secondly, we'll call in our schedule. That actually talks about the time that this task should be run. So you can manually just put a fixed time here, let's say like 30 seconds. Alright, 30 seconds or any kind of time, maybe 1 hour. So you can put the time specifically. If you check the documentation, you can see in here the schedule. You can put 30 seconds, you can put the time manually, but the best way to actually put the time is to use the Chrome tab. Alright, so you can see the schedule. This is the frequency of execution. This can be the number of seconds as an integer, which is a time data, or a Chrome tab. So you can also define your own custom scheduler type by extending the interface of script. So you can read my button and see it. So the Chrome tab, which you'll be using, you can see how you can specify the time you want in the Chrome tab. You can see the schedule.scrum tab, the minutes, the hour, days of the week, depends on the days of the month of the year. These are arguments that you can actually pass in to use the Chrome tab. You can see minutes, how to specify a minute in the Chrome tab. You can see different arguments that you can put. So you just go through this documentation and see how you can use to specify your runtime, as when your task should be run. So here we're going to use the Chrome tab. I think we've imported it. So if we just put Chrome tab like this, by default it will run this task every minute. But if we want it to run like maybe every 10 minutes, like we specify, we'll have to put a star followed by 10 quotes, and we can specify the minutes. Alright, there's the right way to specify it. So minutes, you can just specify hash followed by the number of minutes that you want. So this will mean specify that this task should be run every 10 minutes. Alright, so you can check the documentation. We can't wait for 10 minutes because this video will actually be too long. So let's say the task run every minute. Alright, so though we know that the website that we are scripting will not actually update every 10 minutes, every minute. You just see our tasks running every minute. All right. So, and lastly, if you have any arguments, or maybe your task is taking any arguments, you have the argument object parameter also. You can pass in any argument that this task is supposed to receive, but our task is not receiving any argument, so we just leave that out. Alright, so we can save that. And once we save that, I think we are good to go. So what we need to do now is actually to restart, to rebuild our images of our container, so that Celery can actually register this new task. And apart from that, we made some changes, like in our requirement, the TST, I guess, and some other files. So for our container to actually keep track of these changes, it's best we restart it. Sometimes when you restart it, Celery may see through an error of task not registered. That's because this image has been cached, so it's not restarted. So you need to actually kind of, because I was having that issue when I was testing out this service. Even when I restarted it, Celery container could not still capture the new task. So what I did was kind of to delete the image for Celery worker and rebuild a new one. It actually works fine. But let's just stop our container and rebuild it again. So yeah, let's stop our container by using the docker compose down. This will drop our containers for us. Alright, once our containers are done, let me clear my terminal now. So let's rebuild the containers. Sorry, it should be docker compose. Alright, so let's run our container. Alright, so this is building up. Let's see if, alright, sorry, our container is up and running, so let's hope there is no error. So let's really check our logs to make sure that everything is okay. Logs. It seems everything is fine. Let's check our Celery worker. Okay, you can see we are having errors. Our Celery worker says task feed, an error occur. It says duplicate key value. Okay, our task is actually running. If we check our flower, you see that so far he has processed 9 tasks and the 19 tasks and 19 are succeeded. So if we go to the succeeded task, you can see it's actually making the request for us. So the task that is being run is actually the script data is also run. Then we have this task that is run also, which is the save to the database. So this task is actually, so everything is working fine. Just ignore the errors that we're having. I believe maybe it's something has to do with database clashing, something like that. Alright, so we can proceed since our task is running and we are scraping those data every seconds, every minute which in a real sense that will not be the case because we can't actually have a renewed data every minute. So what we need to do now is a way for us to actually visualize this script data in our website, in our web application. So we're going to create a very simple view that will help us visualize this data that we're actually scraping with Celery periodic tasks. Alright, so let's quickly head back to our app. So we'll head back to the view, just create a very simple view to grab this data that we are scraping and just show them out in the home page. So we'll do that. Right, so in here we'll just basically, we can comment this one out. We don't really need this anymore. So we can just create our own views model. So from our model, we just import the news model. Alright, so we can take out this post model. We don't really need all this. Basically, we can just comment all this out, but there's no need. We can leave it out. Templates. I believe we already have a template. Is index.html. Let me check. We have a template already. So I can just modify this and maybe change the URL to display our list of articles, or I can just create a new template. Let me just create a new template called articles.html. Alright, so instead of index, we'll just change it to articles. We'll call it articles.html. It's actually going to display our script data. And here we just basically paste the simple article list. So we are looping through it. You can just see for news in articles. Remember, in the view, we are passing articles into our context. So we just see for news in article. So we are getting the news title and the news published. Alright, so okay, so that's good. So let's quickly specify the routes for this. So this home page, we need to bring it into our url.py file. Alright, so we just save that. Alright, so let's see if we can see the list of our articles now. So if we go there, something is not right. So let me see why it's not getting. Please send any data. Everything is working fine. The only error that we had was because this out and we did remove the URL. So that's why we are having the error. So if you go back, you can see this was the issue. So I just took out this because we don't really have this post anymore. We've commented it out, and then take out this. Alright, so once we save and go back to our home page and reload, yeah, I'll see scraping data. These are the data that we're scraping. You can see there. Alright, so this is a list of the data that is being scraped. So this process is being run every minute. Though this data is not expected to change every minute, we can see the date and the time for each data. You can see the. Alright, so if we reload, we may not see any changes, but if you give it some time and you reload, you may see new articles are being pulled from that very site, which is this Hacker News site. Alright, so if we check, alright, this was published. Let's look for the latest published articles, which is this one that was posted 21 minutes ago. Is what seconds from 0 to. Okay, let's check our script data and see if we are getting that. I believe we had that somewhere. Alright, that's the data we are having here, which is the latest data. You can check it, seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers student breaks, and that's what they had latest. If you check the time it was posted, look at it, seconds from 0 to. Alright, and it was posted 21 minutes ago. I keep saying that, sorry about that. Alright, so we are getting the latest data. So if maybe after some time, but this is being run every, if you check our tasks, it's run every minute. We had over 55 runs so far. So, but in a real sense, maybe in a real world application, you may want this to run. In a real world application, you may want this to run like every hour or probably twice a day. Alright, so the cron task can actually take off that for us. So the most interesting thing is that we can see periodic tasks in action. Our task is being run in a specific time interval, of which we can tweak to any time interval that we want with the Chrome tab. Alright guys, so that's all about using Celery periodic tasks. Read more about it, check the documentation, and also if you need the source code, I'll leave a link to the source code in the description below. Alright, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. See you guys in our next video.